What's up, what's up, what's up? And we're starting this thing, Aesthetic Businesses Podcast. What's up, everybody? It's Marques and Mike Mendez coming at you with Aesthetic Business. And today's topic is freaking Airbnbs, man. Let's talk about it. Again, if you're new to this channel, this is not all fitness. We got a lot of things going on, but this is tied into using fitness to just do some entrepreneur, doing some other big things in your life, and just having the confidence to do it, and just bringing that all to light, you know, because we all do different things other than just fitness, you know. Anyway, so here's the thing with Airbnbs. Everybody wants one, right? Everybody thinks it's the greatest thing to do it, and I kind of fell into the habit of calling it Airbnbs. You know, I don't even use Airbnbs, you know, the term. So Mike, what have you heard about Airbnbs?
Well, I've heard, like, you know, you see it on the news and stuff like that. Everybody's doing Airbnb. And so I started looking into it, started reading some books about it. But, you know, being a realtor, man, we've actually sold a couple properties that were previous Airbnbs. Some of the people that are flippers, they're getting out of the business. Yeah. And of course, they're not disclosing their financials, you know, like why they're doing it. But any person who looks at something, if it's successful, if it's like going through, why are you selling it? Yeah. So it kind of has me a little like questioning about like how reliable is it? Yeah,
honestly, man, it's so hard. I've been in the business of short-term rentals. How about that? How about we use the term short-term rentals, right? And stop giving Airbnb so much hype, because once I tell you the story of 2020, it's going to make you it'll tie everything in. Right. So I've been in the short-term rental game since 2016. Right. It's been almost 6 years, man. You know what I mean? And what's crazy is I knew nothing about short-term rental when I jumped in. Right. And the way I fell into it was just, I don't know. So it was kind of like instinct a little bit, but it's all about location, you know? So, you know, when you first get into real estate, you're like, oh my God, you read everything, you hear everything, and location. It was all about location. You know, at the time for me, I had three choices, right? That I knew the three choices, three cities that I knew that was booming at the time, right? That was Scottsdale, Arizona, right? That was booming. 2016 Scottsdale. That shit is to the roof now, you know. Nashville, Tennessee, right? Or it was Orlando, Florida, you know. And me being from Georgia, I was like, man, I was like, yeah, I knew Scottsdale was gonna like blow, but how much I don't like the West Coast like that. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I was like, man, Tennessee is not that bad, but I went with Orlando. But I was in such a bind at the time because I was like, man, I had all this cash, right? Just killing it in 2006. I was like, yo, tax man is going to fuck me up, you know? I didn't know at the time. I didn't really know as much as I know now. But instinctively, I was like, I need to buy a house. Just buy something, you know? Let's just cut this down a little bit. So I end up finding a place in Kissimmee, right? In Kissimmee, Florida, 11 minutes from Disney World. And I was like, that's it, right? I was like, that's it. And the thing was, what sold me on it was like, it was already fully furnished. It was already going as a short-term rental. So I thought it was going to be like turnkey and here's your thing and it's just going to make all this voila money, right? Fuck no, that was not the case. Right, I closed on it on a crazy deal. Right, how much is appreciated since then. Right, but when I got it, it looked like the Golden Girls. It was dark. It was floral, like the plastic floral, you know. And I had these property managers and I kind of inherited the property managers to kind of like get the feel of it, but they gave me the, hey, you ain't got to worry about nothing. We'll take care of it. We've been taking care of it for the last blah, 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 you know? And it gets this, the people I bought it from, a lot of people don't know the Airbnbs that in Florida are not owned by Americans.
Really?
Nope. Barely any of them are owned by any Americans. And that is crazy because every time I would be there and looking at, and I'll meet the owners, England, Brazil, Scotland, somewhere in Europe. It was never the person I even bought it from was from Scotland. Right.
Damn.
So that whole block before 2020 was owned by just Brazilian people. It was nuts. So anyway, just to give you some idea of like what was going on around there. So, man, long story short, 2017, I got my ass kicked. Like, as far as rentals go, letting somebody else do it, knew nothing about short-term rentals. I lost a lot of money, and I was going to bail on it. Right? And then I started, you know me, I'm like super, I have to be into something. I had to start digging what was going on, So what happened is I totally read up on it, and I had to take the Golden Girl stuff. I did a lot of do-it-yourself projects. My birthday, I went down there and painted all the cabinets. Just by painting the cabinets, just by painting the cabinets, because you got to think, with short-term rentals, pictures are everything. Pictures are everything, and reviews will stomp you. Like, straight up. So if you have and if you don't have professional pictures, and somebody's taking it with their phone, it's all dark and stuff, nobody's gonna rent to you. Right? So anyway, what my story is, how it ends, I had to take full control, right? Back my house, turn it into what I want it to. And it took a lot of investment, a lot of money, a lot of time, but I finally got it to where it was able to just cash flow completely. Especially, I didn't want to turn that spot 11 minutes from Disney into, like, that's impossible, right? You know what I mean? So here, I'm just going to go over some things that I think the do's and don'ts, and some things that would help you and to think about if you want to get into short-term rentals, right? And one is, you don't have to do Airbnb, right? I think Airbnbs are the worst. I think that program is the worst. Just the type of tenants the people that you get, and how they handled 2020 was not good. I use VRBO. I've always used VRBO, and that's a more sophisticated type of people that you get, but they've been around longer than Airbnb. A lot of people don't know that, right? And they have a crazy amount of partners. So the thing is with Airbnbs, right? They can be great, or they can destroy you, right? So let's say if in location is everything. And let's just say you have a great location, right? But it's just like anything, it's supply and demand. What people don't think about is when you don't have anybody in there, your lights still have to stay on. Netflix or whatever hell you got going on, water bill, all these things still have to be paid, right? So that's what starts killing people. And then the mortgage still has to be paid, right? So you have all those things going on, and then there's maintenance. Let's not even forget that. You got a house, there's a property manager maintenance. There's a yard maintenance. There's just maintenance for the home, right? There's a lot of components. And the cleaning lady, holy hell, she's going to be your best friend, right? If you have a pool person now, it just starts adding up. But these people still have to be paid if you don't have anybody in there. So these are huge things to think about. And then I would suggest having a reservoir for if anything happens. So I'll tell you my 2020 story. Holy shit. Mike, we think we talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. What did you hear about 2020 just off Airbnbs, like this period?
At first I thought that it just kind of everybody was kind of pausing on that stuff. And actually your story, I was actually about to start I saw a way you could do it where you can go talk to the apartment and rent it out from my company and then do Airbnb. And I was going to do that. I was like about to start calling places, and I talked to you, and you told me what happened to you during 2020, and that really just said, okay, let's pause on this one, because you hear from, like, you see it from the news or whatever, and it seemed like not that big of a deal. But again, anytime you're an owner of anything, you still got to pay the bills regardless of who's paying you or not paying you. And your story made me kind of like really start like rethinking everything.
Yeah. Oh man. Holy shit. Okay. So, man, business was good. Everybody was going to Disney World, right? You got to think more people come from overseas, right? Because that's my whole gig for my vacation home. It's Disney World, right? Disney World, Universal and that whole shebang, right? So if that shuts down, shit, right? So it's crazy. So what happened is 2020 hits, right? The first people to get shut down, you got to think traveling gets shut down. Okay. Traveling got shut down overseas first. So you got to understand it's an overseas business. People come to Disney World, Florida, more than almost any other place, right? So most of everybody you get is foreigners, because, it is what it is. But so once that shut down, once that happened, I lost 90% of my bookings.
Fuck.
Right? In one fucking month. Matter of fact, probably took 2 months. But that shit was slow draining. Man, no bullshit, right? But luckily, I was with VRBO, right? I was with VRBO and I was not with Airbnb. And I'm so fucking happy I did that. And I'll tell you why. So once 2020 hit, right, once the whole pandemic thing popped off, Airbnb and anyway, any do a short-term rental or whatever you use, you have your own policies, you have your own whatever, and hey, you have this amount of days to cancel, right? We all have done this, okay? So, instead of the Airbnb, instead of them going like letting the owners follow their policies and kind of handle their own cancellations, they completely gave all their customers 100% of their money back without consulting the owners. I'm going to repeat that again, okay? They gave all the customers 100% refunds without consulting the owners and completely violating and voiding their own policies with the company. Okay? So this is why you saw Airbnb just tumble one after another. You have to understand, if you have an Airbnb and you have all these bookings, right? And then somebody just takes a chunk of all this stuff out of your account, these bills have to get paid. These bills, like, it was bananas. So I had VRBO, and VRBO was like, hey, we're going to let the owners use their policies, right? And kind of like let y'all work cancellations out and stuff, or whatever you can. So that's exactly what we did, right? I went off how the airline people were doing it, how concert tickets was doing it, how they were doing that, So if people were coming, and when I tried my best to compensate, and that's what we did, but still we lost 90% of your bookings. And then after that, everything goes stale. Boom. Right? You got to think, everybody wasn't leaving their house. Disney World was shut down. Everything was just stale. But guess what? Bills still got to get paid. Those lights still got to stay on. You know what I mean? Cleaning lady ain't got nothing to do looking for shit, But the thing is, you got to take care of your crew. A lot of people don't understand that. Man, it takes a solid crew to run a successful Airbnb if you're not doing it yourself. I'm talking about yourself as in getting in there, cleaning after every person and doing all this. It takes a lot, right? So you got to think, you got to take care of your crew, but if there's nothing to do, you start losing good people because now you know what I'm saying? That makes sense? Okay. Yeah. So, man, all that happened, and then nothing for the whole, until Disney World, whatever. And then actually people just started forgetting about Disney World after that, right? Everything went stale. There was no more overseas people coming over, right? Because you got to think in the wintertime, like around now, mostly all the Canadians and people who are up north usually flood to Florida, you know, and they come down there, you know, it's gone, not anymore. So just these are just things to think about, you know what I mean? This and this is why you probably see, and actually this is crazy. I think you know how I think about what's going on, you know, but there has been a completely shortage of Airbnbs now in that whole Orlando Kissimmee area, right? That whole area, it like the very few that survived, right, are like the fortunate ones. You know, they had plans or whatever like that. My street used to be a whole bunch of Airbnbs. Now they've turned into complete residential homes, but they are residential to people moving from like New Jersey. Right? These are up north people that bought the Airbnbs now. You know what I mean? So it's just it's crazy, but the hotels have now back to flourishing. You see what I'm saying? Because they were like sinking because of all the Airbnbs. Anyway, so this is why I don't consider Airbnb a good choice. They didn't go with their customers. I mean, their owners, the owners that actually host. They went with you know, the customers. So this is why for me, I will never choose an Airbnb to be my platform, right? Just off the honor system, they violated. That's just me. So I suggest y'all look into like VRBO. It's so funny. I just put one of my clients onto that because we had this show in April, right? No, in June. And I'm super familiar with that. You know, I got a couple places out there and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, there's Airbnbs everywhere. There's like short-term rentals. She's like, I can't find any on Airbnb. And I was like, because you're using Airbnb. Gave her VRBO. It was like boom, 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 boom. Because it's a lot more upscale type of stuff, you know, because they don't want those Airbnb people in there. And I don't blame them, you know. It's just, it just brings a different type of crowd, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so, one of the key factors to, if you are going to do a short-term rental, it is highly possible. Yes, it can be done, but there's some few steps that I suggest that you should do. And one of them is turn your whole home into a smart house, right? I did that, and that was the best thing I did. That saved me about $400 a month. Just turning my house into a smart house. I didn't have to rely on property managers to come turn my lights on or anything like that. I can completely control my whole home from the pool all the way to the cameras, all the way to the lights, all the way to the air conditioner. I don't really need anybody to come check my house. I just only need them to come when somebody leaves. It's a self-entry and everything like that, right? So I completely took out, I used to have a PM, and I completely phased her out by turning my whole home into a smart home. Saved me tons of money, you know? And I got a neighbor. Yeah, we started at the same time. He's right next to door to me. He's from New Jersey. He does some crazy shit, man. He has his whole house a smart house too, but he be turning off the air conditioner when people be leaving, like to go to the store and shit. Yeah,
trying to save a little bit of money.
Yeah, he told me that, and I was like, yo, no way. He was like, bro, they be gone for like hours. I turn off the air conditioner, and then when they come back, I turn it on. I'm like, yo, I ain't got time for all that, man. I just did that thing for 4 hours, and I just don't even think about it, you know? But yeah, I just suggest that for Airbnbs. A good crew, again, is going to be optimal. And if you do not have a good crew, guys, I can tell you right now, you're gonna tumble hard. You're gonna tumble. And I don't suggest doing no friends or family and no hookup shit when it comes to Airbnb. I'd rather pay somebody for a good job, right? And somebody I can totally rely on. But again, if you do think about getting into Airbnbs, and if you are not prepared, you will tumble double time. You know, it cost about, I say the average price just from scratch for me to redoing my home. It cost about $20K to redo that whole thing. The refurnish, you got to think about it. To refurnish a whole home, and then you get the little tedious shit like forks, spoons, pots. You got to replace pots every damn year. You know what I mean? Just bedspreads all the time. You got to update those. Just sheets and towels. It's always something going on. So just like they're great cash flow when they're flowing, but you will sink super fast. I've seen people get in the Airbnb business and be out in a few months.
Do you think that's like part of the issue? Like some people get into Airbnb and they expect to like have a positive P&L like day one type of thing?
Yeah, I did it 100%. I was into that, just because I had a place by Disney, I thought it was going to do well. Shit me. Even location won't save you from bad pictures. Right? Yeah. And that sofa looked like I didn't change anything. I totally inherited and was just going to keep the show going, bro. Like, I wish I got old pictures of it, but I was like, I look back at it and I'm like, this is gross. I wouldn't even rent that out. Like it literally looked like some old fucking somebody named Bertha lived there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you think did you take the model of like almost like what a hotel room is? It's nice. Like that's why we go to a hotel room. Like it's not my own home, but it's nice. Is that something like you took it as well?
No, because the hotels are now starting to mimic Airbnb, like short-term rentals. Now you see them in there with luxury tile flooring, like vinyl flooring and stuff like that. They're starting to actually mimic that. And what people don't realize is a lot of they're doing hotels are doing test short-term rentals. Right. So let's say like the Marriott, they've bought a few of these homes and turned them into test Airbnbs for them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can rent, you're going to be soon probably renting a Marriott offsite short-term rental.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that also means the hotels are realizing their competition, but they're also pivoting. Is there a point where you think like short-term rentals, you have to pivot to maybe a different customer from like a stay here or to like what I'm looking into now or traveling nurses? Cause our industry is really big on medical.
Yeah.
And especially with the pandemic right now, like traveling nurses are killing it as far as that here in Texas.
Dude. But like I said, supply and demand, right? But then you got to first see who even survived 2020, right? Since 2020, there's been a shortage of short-term rentals, right? Like I said, some of those people had like 2 or 3 short-term or Airbnbs, and they had to give all their money back all at once and still had to pay 3 mortgages. On top of that, so it's just if the supply is there for the nurses, I say yeah. But where Lubbock is, if the supply is there, especially with the hospital being there, hell yeah.
Yeah. Because I know in Texas, at least for like the traveling nurses, they get a stipend. So a lot of them, like I've read a little bit about it. I mean, I'm still, my choice to everything is always going to be a buy and a hold for, I like that I can have an actual person that wants to rent for me every month. I kind of like that when the short-term rentals for me, what I'm looking at to do is doing that only when I know I have so much in the reserve. Because your situation kind of got me to that point of like, if this happens, I cannot be barely making it or barely like, okay, I have 90%, so I'm making good. But if I'm at 30, we might have to sell this property or whatever because of that.
Yeah, it sucks. These are real situations to think about. It even made me step my game up a little bit for 2021 and beyond. Because nobody expected anything like that. But it made me now a wiser investor, 100%. But I just think for short-term rentals for right now, I think you should lay off. I think you should lay off short-term rentals just because they're just going to keep there. What's going on. You know what I mean? So vacation and especially if you have like it's not a really good vacation spot where everybody wants to go, then I would say hell no. But for me, I'm fortunate enough that I have one of the only functioning places in the country, fucking like where everybody wants to go and everybody can still be free. you know.
Yeah.
So now but the dynamics has changed for short-term rentals now, especially for the ones in Florida. Now there's more Americans going instead of overseas coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what usually you better do deals like during this time you better do deals like you have to lower your price a little bit, so because people will rent these things out for like 2 months, you know. Okay, so it's like, oh, you rent those out for 2 months, but now Americans will still pay the same pricing. They don't know about like, hey, this is how it usually works. So you're still just paying regular things. So I actually like it better because more Americans are using that now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, I don't have anything else but just short-term rentals, man. But I just want to give everybody else something to think about getting into short-term rentals. Again, it is great cash flow when it is flowing. But man, when your fucking tank is leaking, it is over, you know. Other than that, I think next week we're gonna have a guest on. You know, I think we're gonna have Katie Corio and get into what she's doing and other than fitness and just all in her entrepreneur phase of where she's at. She has a lot of stuff going on. Super excited to hear about that.
Yeah, I think what'll be interesting about that one too is like, this is one of your clients that like, when they got with you, they didn't like where they're at right now was probably not on their mind, or probably was a little bit of a hope, wish, or dream or something like that. But it's a reality of like the way she's doing it, man.
Yeah,
she's killing it.
Actually, it's actually the opposite, man. And when you hear this story, she told me exactly what she wanted to do since day one.
Dope.
Like 6 years ago. She's told me I want to do this. Like a lot of people don't know. She's like been in more fitness magazines than Miss Olympia's, and she's not even a competitor. And that's what I love about that. Anyway, we're gonna have her on and just go into that with her choreoactive wear and everything like that. I'm just super excited about that. And then we're gonna get this dude Nick on to talk about what the hell he's doing, which is very interesting with his mining business, man. Fucking big ups to that, man. I just can't wait to hear about that. Other than that,
especially the position he's in right now, like he's positioned himself well.
Yeah, man. A lot of people don't know how intelligent that dude is. You know. Other than that, if y'all have any questions about short-term rentals or anything like that, please just message us or anything and just ask. We're trying to help everybody, but again, this is fitness, man. Just to make these power moves, you just gotta have the fucking guts to do it and just the confidence in yourself first. But other than that, that's really it.
All right, bet. Till next time, brother.
Yep.